Relationships can be a real pain in the neck. Get ready for relationship advice with a bite, here on Vampire Princess Problems.
You're listening to the Vampire Princess podcast. This is a podcast for very pretty people. Once you subscribe to my channel, you automatically become a VPP. So I'm Vanessa.
And I'm Seth.
And today's episode is Love Truly Blind? It's hard for me to say if love is truly blind, like at the moment, because I can kind of see it both ways. And I think a lot of people want to just jump right in there and say that, yes, love is blind. Like it's the right thing to do, like so to speak. But I also feel like it's just natural to have preferences to like what you're attracted to. And that's not like shouldn't have the stigma that it like makes you a bad person just to have like preferences, because your personal preferences aren't the beauty standard. You know what I mean? Just because you say, oh, my preference is someone that looks like this and not like that. I mean, that's not just saying the ones that don't fit that are unattractive people. It's just not your own personal preference.
Absolutely. I feel that it's perfectly natural to have a preference. I mean, you've got things which are intrinsically to your mind, things that you like, certain flavors, for example. You can't just decide that you like or dislike something. That's just down to the reaction that your body has when you put something against your tongue. And for the sake of romantic partners, if you're looking at somebody, your brain will sort of process them, based on what you're seeing, and it will either be something that is of interest or not. And so I don't think that love is necessarily blind, although I do think that there are certain factors that sort of transcend appearance and can sometimes even override to a certain level that sort of initial physical attraction, but that's something long term.
I like what you said, like about food too. I mean, you wouldn't feel like some type of way about saying like, oh, I prefer like caramel over vanilla. Like it's just a personal preference on flavor, but you know, you do try to like speak carefully so that you don't like put people down when you're speaking of like physical like attributes of a person. So I do like understand that, but it just happens. It's just like our instinctive like nature to have a preference on something, or even to say, hey, like I have a pretty open preference here. I like a lot of different flavors, like that's just how some people are. Some people are way more picky. They're like, I only, enjoy 2 or 3 different flavors. I don't enjoy like tasting the whole rainbow, so to speak. And I think too, like when you're with people, like talking about like flavor and stuff, but I think a big thing too about finding like someone attractive is like smell. And I'm not necessarily saying like they smell good or they don't smell good. I'm saying like their own like personal pheromones. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like when you are really attracted to somebody, like you could just literally sniff their armpit and it would like smell so good to you. Like it's just something about like their natural pheromones coming off their body. And also it's like being attracted to that and attracted to their body language, the way they act. Like there's a lot of different factors like going in, but it is like just how you're attracted to them without them even speaking. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. The olfactory senses, the smell of somebody. It's a very interesting thing because, technically speaking, humans don't really do pheromones as such, not in the same way that like other animals do, where they have, pheromone emitters and pheromone receivers, effectively. They, the sort of the human animal is a little bit different, but our olfactory sense is linked to so many other things, including memory, for example. smell is one enormous motivator for remembering things, like way more than visual, even on most subjects, I would say. And because of that, you might find that the reason why you prefer one smell over another is perhaps like either a nostalgia thing or a comfort thing based on a previous memory. So you could actually have some almost like pre-programmed idea of what you would find attractive based on some comforting event from your past. And it is rather fascinating because something like that really is blind, because you're not sort of prejudging somebody based on appearance. You are getting that smell that is stirring something up in your brain, going, wow, this is amazing, and this person smells like that amazing thing.
Okay, I feel like you're like really calling me out here because you want to know something. I do this really like specific thing, like whenever, like if I'm about to like start seeing someone or like go on a first date, or you know, in the past, like I will have known people and then decided like that we're gonna go on a date, you know what I'm saying? But every time like I go on a date with them, I wear the exact same perfume. Like normally I'm day to day I change my perfumes like based on what I'm feeling. Like sometimes I want like a vanilla, sometimes I want a musk, sometimes I want like a floral. But specifically when I'm going on like dating this person, I wear the same perfume like every single time. And then like in their mind they just connect like that smell to me. Like every time they smell that smell, like that's just it smells like me. Like whenever they like their couch, like if I'm sitting on their couch or I'm laying in their bed or whatever, like they can tell that's my smell because they recognize it like as my perfume that's like still lingering there, you know?
It feels like you've discovered a cheat code that you shouldn't have access to.
And I was like, I don't know like why I just started doing that, but I just felt like, you know, they could retain it like better in my mind. Like if their apartment smells like me, like they'll miss me more like when I'm not there. Like when they go to like pull up their blanket, I spray it too. I'm not even gonna lie right now because well when I spray perfume I spray a lot on myself but also in my hair too. And I have really long hair, so anything that my hair touches, like the back of the couch, the pillowcase, like all that stuff, like it's gonna smell like me, like my perfume.
I feel like you're becoming too powerful. Um, yeah, that's a really clever idea, because it really does, connect that to you. And I've had somebody in the past that I was, incredibly attracted to, that, the sense of smell was, I think, a big part of that. And for the longest time, it was like, basically she'd sort of disappeared, but I kept sort of catching her scent everywhere when I was at home. And I was like, I cannot for the life of me think why this is. Why am I,
It makes you
smelling it?
think about her, huh? Like when you smell it, like it brings
It
it to the
did.
top of your brain.
It turns out she'd basically left a cardigan round mine, and it had the perfume that she was wearing on it, and that's what I was smelling whenever I was basically, when there wasn't really much else distracting me. I was able to catch the scent of that, and it made me think of her. And I was like, as soon as I found it, I was like, oh my good God, that's what it is. All right, fine. And obviously I returned it to her. But it was like, this feels really odd that I am, really odd that I'm sort of getting the scent of her when she's not here, and it did make me think of her a lot. And ultimately things didn't, go that way. We went, separately, but it was something that I genuinely thought for the longest time, that there was going to be something stronger there just because of that. And it was a complete accident, of course. She hadn't intended to try and get me thinking about her in that way. It's just something that happened.
And I'm over here like rubbing my hands together like hee, I'm gonna make him. I'm like intending to do it.
Oh boy! Honestly, this would. Yeah, I say you've discovered the cheat code. You've become too powerful. You have to be stopped.
But you know what's funny about you guys? Because this has happened to me like twice in two like different relationships. And so the thing is like I was saying, like I'll always use the same perfume, but I mean just out of habit, like I'm also usually using the same shampoo, conditioner, face wash, body wash. It's just because like, I know what works for me, and then I'll like the relationship will continue on. And then maybe something will happen where I'll see something new at the store, or I'll think like my hair needs a different type of shampoo or whatever at this moment, or conditioner, and I'll wash with something else, and they'll literally smell me and be like, immediately be like, you smell different. What happened? Like, you don't smell like yourself. Like, every single time, it's like instantly. Like, I'm not even thinking that they're going to pick up on it at that point, but they're just like, you don't smell like yourself. Like, if you change any little thing in your scent, like your laundry detergent or anything, like, you're seeing someone, they're going to be like, why do you smell different?
Yeah, I see. I need to figure out what my signature smell's going to be then. No, clearly that's a whole thing that's going to make things work. But yeah, I've got to figure out what it is, because at the moment I'm sort of still slightly stuck in what I would call sort of teenage boy mode, where I just find some deodorant and that'll do.
Oh, see, that's where I could totally be there to help you out, because I'm like a perfume and cologne really like type of person. Like I have so many perfumes, like I haven't even counted them, but I could literally probably say I probably have at least 40 different perfumes. That's what I'm saying when I'm saying like I change it up just based on like my vibe. I'm a collector too, so like for example, like the Ariana Grande perfumes, like she might have like a dozen, and I like to have the whole collection. It's just something that, I like to get myself every now and then, but or if I smell something, and then all my friends, like my coworkers and stuff, like they know that I'm really into perfume. So I actually had been gifted a lot of perfume like this past birthday. Like my boss, my coworkers, like everyone gifted me like a different perfume. It was like so nice. But yeah, I would love to help people figure out their signature scent, because whenever I was in college, I used to work at a department store. This one was called Dillard's, but it's similar to like Macy's. I'm trying to think of like what you guys have in the UK, but just like your regular like department clothing store. I
Okay,
can't I
yeah.
can't think of the name of one off my head. I feel like there's one with like wool in the name or something probably.
Um,
But
you're
anyway,
probably thinking of Woolworths, but that's not really a thing anymore.
oh, it's not.
No, it unfortunately went the way of the dodo, that one. But yeah, there used to be one with that where it's had all the different ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever I was working there, um, I worked at two different locations within the store, but I loved working at the perfume counter because I got like really into it, and that's where it all started. Like the different notes, the base notes, and just like discovering what I liked, and then also like helping people like pick stuff out. And then I got moved to accessories, which was like jewelry and handbags and things of that nature. And I sold a lot more there because I was better there. I would be like in the top sales of the whole store every single day, even though I didn't work. I probably worked like maybe 5 or 6 hours a day because I was in college too during the day. So I'd only go there to work like the evening shift up until close. But because I was really good at selling men's watches, like I could sell a man a watch like that. Like I was very good at it for some
Brilliant.
reason. I sold so many men's watches. It's like actually kind of comical. Like I would sell a couple a day. I'm not even playing. I could convince a man to buy himself a watch. But anyway,
Nice.
I think this is the podcast episode where we find out that I'm just like good at manipulating people. No. Okay,
Fair enough.
so
Well, whatever works.
hey, I was getting in my top sales, and I don't even know why it didn't matter. I didn't. I just was like my college job, you know. It wasn't like my profession. Like I'm gonna be the manager of the store one day. Like I wasn't even that deep to me. I just had fun doing it.
For sure.
But so I do kind of have like an off the wall type of question for you related to
Hmm.
this though. If you were like actually like visually impaired, like you were like blind so to speak, um would that make dating any different to you? Like would it change how you look for someone, or like do you think you would still go off of like smells, or at that point would it just come down to purely like how they treated you, or like would you ask them what they look like, or
I mean, I would like to think that I was kind enough to sort of still look for the whole package, not just how kind somebody is, but
mm-hmm.
also things like their smell, the mannerisms that they do. Um, and obviously, if I had a visual impairment where I was able to, um, you know, still sort of use my sense of touch quite a bit, obviously that's going to form a connection in and of itself with another person, because um, I myself am a very tactile person. That's just kind of how I show affection. And so that something like that would only enhance things, I would expect. So I think there would be a huge amount of, understanding that somebody's got beauty. Just I've got to find that out using my hands instead of looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel that there's still, it's going to be obviously not completely blind because there's still going to be other factors. But I do feel that something like that wouldn't necessarily stop me from finding somebody attractive. It's just I would discover this through other means. And
Yeah.
you could say that somebody that's you know just a really nice person that you enjoy spending time with and is connected with you in multiple ways, because their lifestyle and your lifestyle work together. You've got common interests, things like that, all of which sort of piles up to become this sort of um, like huge um, well of experience to sort of draw from. That to see whether you're compatible with each other, even when you can't see, because you at the core of it really do need to trust somebody, I think, in order to take that final step. And needing to trust when you've got a visual impairment is even more important, because obviously you've got if your partner's responsible for looking after you in certain ways, in ways that you might not necessarily be able to do all by yourself. I do think it's very important to have enough that you can build that consensus of trust, and not just one or two different types of connection.
Yeah, and I think the reason that like I am asking or like wondering about it too is because well, the last year that I was in college, if you don't know, like I have 2 degrees, so I was in college for a long time. I've had a lot of different jobs while I was in college, like working at a department store, being a dog walker, dog sitter. I mean, I literally did that. I like made enough money as like a part time job doing that, and being a barista working at Starbucks, and yeah, a couple of other odd end things. But during my last year that I was in college, that's when I was working at Starbucks, and so the manager at the store was visually impaired, and so he basically it's like all in a spectrum too, you know. So like he could see like shadowy figures, but not like see all that well, you know. And he still cared like what women look like because obviously like touch is a factor, and he would also ask other people like what they thought about them, like what he thought about them, and yeah, he was super funny guy, but
Mm.
he ended up marrying a woman who was also visually impaired, and that's what also makes me think about it, like in general too, because I mean it's just one of those things, like it can happen to anyone, like at any time. Like him, for example, like it didn't happen. He could see up until he was like 45 years old because he lost his vision in from a car accident. He was in a really bad car accident in Atlanta, and he was in a coma afterwards. And so once he woke up from the coma, um, like he had to basically like relearn to walk and do other things, and everything came back except his vision. And so he just couldn't see like past that point, and I think that might be like a factor in why he still cared what they looked like, or would still ask his friends like, hey, is she still hot though, like even though he can't see, like he was just like being funny and goofy, but I mean he genuinely did care. And so I don't know how it works like there in the UK, but what happens like here in the States is if something happens like that to you, and whether it's like so any sort of impairment happens, um like in the state that I'm in, Georgia, they send you to Atlanta, which is like the capital, and so they have a like a school for the blind, that's what it's called, and they will teach you how to do daily things such as like get to the bus stop, prepare a meal. I mean, everyone has different like ability levels, you know, but they basically have like a little like life training session. And so that's actually where he met his wife, the woman that he married. She was also in the school with them together. And so they're both visually impaired, but they still cook together. They still do everything together. They travel, everything. So it's just always in the back of my mind because also she was the same way. I won't like get too much into it, but yeah, they both lost their vision later on in life. So that's another part of the reason that like, sorry, my dogs are barking in the background, but part of the reason that I think people say like the reason that love, quote unquote, should be truly blind is because eventually you are with someone, you're gonna age. Like that's just a given, and you know, people obviously want to say, oh, like you look worse like when you age, even though I think that's not even true in a lot of cases. But you know, if you're gonna like have a kid with this person, gain weight, get sick, age, like your body is going to change just throughout the course of like life. That's a given. So you have to obviously like the person enough that you're fine with at least some alterations in their appearance, knowing this person, if they gained 50 pounds, like you would still love them. I mean, what do you think about that? Is that true for you? Or do you think like if if you were with someone and let's just say for example they gained a lot of weight, like would it affect how much you love them? Would you encourage them to lose it, or would it not matter to you?
I'd want them to be happy, healthy. I wouldn't do it for ego reasons, and I I used to think I would be that the kind of person that would do that, and maybe I was once that type of person, but I discovered something. I think on a previous episode I mentioned this. I had a friend once that I fell in love with and did date for a brief time, and it was one of the most powerful, life changing experiences I've ever had. And she looks different to how she did when I first met her. When we used to sort of hang out, and she was, I think when we first would hang out, and when we first sort of were getting to know each other, she was, like super thin, and she sort of sounded different too. Like basically she her voice had become, quite sort of kind of like raspy from smoking weed all the time. And obviously before that, she had a very sort of harmonic voice, and so she had changed in a way that society would possibly sort of look at and think was less attractive. I never found that to be the case. I was never less attracted to her. I just knew that I'd fallen in love, and that's all that mattered.
Oh, okay. So you think if you are deeply in love with that person, I mean the feelings would just carry over to
Yeah,
the different
I
versions of
genuinely believe
themselves.
that. Yeah, and I would say that, obviously, I I want the person I'm with to be healthy because I want as many years as I can get with them. But that's not to say, you must look a certain way in order for me to be interested, because part of that's, the sort of lust side of things, and the other part of that is ego. Am I going to show this person off? And that's not really love, that's possession. And
Yeah.
so I feel genuinely that back in the day when I was, younger and full of hormones and hubris, I was probably the kind of person that would lose attraction to somebody, and part of that was definitely ego. Um, I like to think I've evolved past that now. I've grown, and become better. So I genuinely believe that it is possible for a person to reach a stage where things like that no longer matter. Another example was I saw a photo of a couple that basically grew up together, and it was like the first photo was taken back in like the the sort of late 70s, early 80s, and it was a punk couple. So, he had like the big spiky tall hair, and and they both had like the sort of leather jacket on, and he had like the skinny tartan jeans, and there were just this cutest punk couple I've ever seen. And then they took a photo in the same spot several decades later where he's gone bald and a bit grey at the sides, and she's changed her hair and stuff like that. They're still, they've still got that sort of little punk element, but they're an older couple, and they're still
Yeah.
holding on to each other like it's the first day they met, and it was beautiful. And I was like, I so wish that I could have that. I so wish I could have had that already. That is absolutely endearing. It's wonderful.
You're still young, you have time.
Well, we'll see. I don't feel young anymore. I think half my bones don't work properly anymore, but we'll get there.
You shouldn't feel bad like about saying that you had an ego and stuff when you were younger, because like even me now, like how you're saying like, oh, like it I want to be with someone that I'm like happy to show off and stuff, but like I don't know if it's also like I'm just a vain person. But like want to be that. Like I don't know, it would just feel like so satisfactory if like you're with like someone and all their friends are like, oh yeah, like, she's so hot or she's so awesome or she's a really good cook or you're lucky. Like all of that stuff like feeds my ego. That's like top tier like compliments. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. No, I get that. Just I find that I guess I would still want to show somebody off even if they weren't the person that I would, that my friends would be, that way.
Yeah.
Um,
Like even
that
if it's not, I don't know if this is like the right thing to say, but even if it's not like your
conventional.
dream person.
Yeah, like even if it's not like somebody that society would deem conventionally attractive, I'm still, if I'm into them, I'm into them.
Right.
I'm still going to be that way, and it it's not, so I'm not doing it for other people, is what I mean, I guess. I would just still be incredibly proud to be with somebody that I felt that way about. And therefore, showing them off a bit is not going to be an impossibility. It's just, I just have I can't really put into words how I feel about the situation, but it's like, I feel that a lot of what it was before was ego, where I was looking for a partner that other people would be jealous of me for.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not really the be all and end all. There's a difference between being proud that your partner is somebody that is attractive and trying to get with somebody attractive because they are attractive, for the sake of showing off like a trophy. Because that's, there's no feeling in that. That's just a thing to have, and I can't be with somebody that's a thing to have. That's not how I do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, like, the more I'm thinking about it, I feel like, I mean, for me at least, like, is love truly blind? Like, I felt a little unsure at first, but it's like the more I, like, think it over, like, in my mind, I'm just like, I think for me, it's no, because, I mean, the point of being in a relationship is to have like a deep emotional connection to that person, right? Like you're saying, like it's not all about like the physical attributes, and I do agree. But the thing is, like, that's what I'm saying. For me, at least, like I need to have some physical connection, and then the emotional connection will grow. But it's like, if I don't have any physical connection like to this person, like would be like pulling teeth trying to build an emotional connection, and that's just a disadvantage for everyone. Like I wouldn't want to waste somebody's time, someone that's like trying so hard and they're not doing anything wrong, like maybe it's better to just be honest in the beginning than waste their time trying to say like, oh, like, but they're so nice or they're this and that, like trying to like convince yourself to make it work. But at the same time, like, I don't know, would you ever go on a date, just a date, I'm not saying a relationship, like would you go on a date with someone you were not physically attracted to at all, but they were just like an awesome person? Like,
Yeah,
would you give it a shot?
I'd take a chance.
Yeah, me too.
Who knows? It's going to be worth the try, right? Because you never know what's going to happen, and sometimes the way that you interact can alter, I think, the way that you see their attractiveness, and over time it can connect. It doesn't have to be an immediate thing, but if you connect it in a lot of other ways, over time that physical attraction can change. It might even be that you're sort of, the manner in which you view attractiveness can change to fit that person. If you've got other ways that you're into them. And from the reverse, actually, it was something that you sort of mentioned, about sort of that, um, sort of physical attractiveness in the beginning. I believe I mentioned it before when I was asked, I think on a previous podcast, about is love at first sight a thing, and I was very clear that yes, it is, because whilst I've been talking to this person and we realised that that on paper there was a lot in common, it wasn't until I saw her in person that I absolutely fell head over heels, and every other thing that had led up to that just fell into place at the moment when we said hello in person. And that changed me as a person, I think, and I was able to sort of connect all the dots other than that. So I do think that there are two ways, in which you could sort of have that romantic connection. And if love is, if love is capable of being blind, you would have to have a hell of a lot in other places, in other aspects. I do think it could still be possible. I do think as well, if you've got, if you do take a chance on somebody, to use this example that isn't, somebody you would normally find attractive, and you were capable of doing other things, who knows? You don't necessarily have to ultimately decide, yes, this is a person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with and get married and all that. You could just be like, we found that we're good friends and we're just going to like enjoy spending time.
I
Why not
think a
just do that?
good like way that I would put it like at this moment would be like it might not be like their smile, that you're all that attracted to, but maybe it's like the way they smile. Like it might not be like, oh, like their hair is your preference, but maybe they like, I don't know, do that one thing with your hair and it just something about it just makes you flutter, It could be like just the way that they are more than like the way they look, but it makes you like feel attracted to them, if that makes sense.
Oh,
And
for sure.
I also think I'm like, I can't remember if I just told you or we talked about it in a podcast, but like attraction can definitely grow over time because like I can think of like multiple times where I wasn't attracted to someone when I first met them, or maybe just felt indifferent. I didn't feel one way or the other. But then, like, over time, like, something they did or just something just hit me like a bus. And I was like, oh my God, like, why do I feel so attracted to this person all of a sudden? And I can't remember if I told the story, so I'm going to tell a different one actually. Like I said, this has happened to me more than once. Is that I remember that there was this guy in school and he was kind of like I said, I kind of felt indifferent to him, like I didn't feel one way or the other about him. I didn't really think about him, like, to be honest. He was like kind of known for being like a band nerd and also known from like coming from a good family because his mom was an elementary school teacher, and he was also just known for being smart, and he was just always kind of like smart and polite. Like nothing negative to say about him, but just nothing, I guess, I don't know what to say, that was like all that like to me. I wasn't physically attracted to him, and B, I didn't know him all that much. But I had this one class with him. He was actually a grade ahead of me, but the way that the classroom was set up was that instead of all of the desks being forward facing, like facing the front where the whiteboard, the chalkboard, whatever, smartboard would be,
Mm.
all of them were basically, you had a left side and a right side, and like they were almost like at battle with each other. So the left and the right would be like facing each other. Does that make sense? So like
Yeah, I get you.
I was on, they were angled a little bit towards the board though. So it was almost kind of like maybe like a V formation type of situation. And so I was on the right side of the room and he was on the left side, and our like rows were across from each other. So he was kind of always in my line of sight in that class. And for this particular class, we had to, it was a teaching class. And so we had to go teach um, at other schools. And we were doing an event at one of the schools, let's just say. And I forgot what happened, but I needed a ride back. And he offered to give me a ride. And like I said, I didn't like know him all that well. I didn't really know anything about him at all. It was just like I thought he was nice enough to give me a ride. I was also a little hesitant because, getting in a guy's car is like a little, even though it's like a
Yeah.
school function type of thing. So, um, But then we got into the car and he put in a Seether CD. And I was like, oh my god, like, I don't know, like, what's happening right now? Like, is this guy actually, like, been, like, cool this whole time and I just, like, didn't know it? And, like, he just put the music in, like, so, it was, because it was so casual, you know? It wasn't, like, he wasn't being flirtatious or anything with me. Like, he was just started talking and he had, like, kind of, like, a low, soft voice. And he was just like, the conversation was so natural. You know what I'm saying? And it was just something about the combination of like, I had never thought he would like listen to like rock music, I guess. And so something in that moment, I was like, whoa, like, wait, am I like just suddenly like feeling attracted to this guy that I've sat across from every day for like almost an entire year and never thought twice about? Type of situation, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, it can just be a little something that they do and all of a sudden like you're attracted like to that person. Like if you asked me like back then like in that moment like do I find that guy attractive? I would have been like, yeah, I do. Even though I didn't like 2 weeks ago. So sometimes it
That
just
makes sense.
builds.
Yeah. But sometimes just being kind can go a hell of a long way.
Yeah, I think that's what it was too. Is he didn't make me feel like, well, this is the bare minimum, but I'm saying like he didn't make me feel uncomfortable. It was just like a such a casual ride. I was like, gosh, like my cheeks are probably flushed right now. And then it's like on the total opposite end of the spectrum, and this probably happens to everyone, where it's like you see someone and you're like, oh my god, they are my type to a T. They are so fine. They are so attractive. Like, and then they open their mouth, you know, and it's like either something they say and something they do is just like, oh no. Like, I don't care that you're a 10
Yeah,
out of 10 anymore because, like,
I
just
know
your
what you mean.
personality. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You were so
Yeah,
much better before you started talking.
they become an immediate red flag, and it's like, crap, this change. Yeah, suddenly the goalposts have shifted,
Yeah.
and yeah, it being pretty is not all it's you know cracked up to be if they can't back it up with substance. Um, yeah, I've met people like that where it's like on the surface, they are very much my type. If I had a type, I suppose I still don't really entirely know what my type is.
Oh, I guess I
Um,
should have asked you
but,
that in the beginning. So you're one of those ones that you don't feel like you have a particular type?
I mean, I probably do. I just can't really put it into words. It's like I know it when I see it.
Like, do all of if you, your exes, do you think they look similar in any way, or are they all completely different?
No, no, and between sort of exes, people I've tried to get with and haven't, or people that I've sort of known in the short term, um, they are about as broad a spectrum as you can get.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
no particular height or weight or um, color or anything like that. There's no real one thing that I could say all of them had in common. It would just women of different types.
I would say, like, I definitely do have a type. And I would say, like, as far as guys go, is like one of two things. One of two certain combinations of something going on. You know, like, let's just say one is like a group A and one's group B, but they're gonna fall into one of the two groups, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But with women, it's totally different. So I for me it's like with women, it's really their personality, because it's just like for me, I'm almost like every woman is just like so beautiful that like there's no like wrong answer with like a woman's looks. To me, it just has to be a very particular like personality of a woman that I would be like, okay, like I could see myself like being like with this woman. And also very weird is that more often than not, I feel like all of those women like kind of maybe do have, if you put them all in, like line them all up, they might share certain characteristics, but for me it's just like I feel very much because all like I said, like if you took 10 random women, like I mean, come on, like they're all so like beautiful to me. I don't know how else to put it, but for me it's more like I really appreciate a woman who is funny, like actually funny. Like like I like their sense of
Mm.
humor, like if they can like tell a good joke, that's where I'm just like, yeah. I more so into that. Whereas like a guy, it's like he either looks like this or he looks like that. And like it's pretty much into these like categories of like I know what a man has to offer emotionally, so I'm gonna get what I want physically out of the relationship.
That's fair. I mean, I don't know. I just there are, as I say, there've been different types, different aesthetics, different backgrounds. I don't know if I would actually see if I put them in a lineup if I would be able to see anything because, as I say, there were different sort of races and ethnicities in there and all sorts of things. I really I'd make a great harem protagonist. Um, like I don't know, maybe that's what I need.
Even like height, is height ever a factor to you?
No, no. I've dated somebody that was about as tall as me, and I've dated well, I
How
think
tall
my
are you?
ex
I don't remember off the top of my head. I mean, I know you're fairly
six,
tall.
6'1".
6'1", yeah. That I
Mm.
feel like I knew that you were over 6 foot. I just didn't remember what exactly. But
Mm.
I don't
The
know if you can
shortest.
tell, but the direction I'm going into this conversation, I know you haven't seen it. Okay, but I love it. I'm obsessed with it. TV show. I think I've talked about it before. It's called Love Is Blind. That's like literally the name of the show. It's on Netflix. I swear, if you haven't seen it, like we're gonna have a watch party together. I swear to God, we're gonna FaceTime one day and we're gonna watch it together because I really do love it so much. And I think I've explained it to you before. Essentially, you have a group of somewhere between like 10 and 12 guys, 10 and 12 girls. The guys stay together, so the guys all see each other, vice versa, the girls all see each other. And then they have, they call them the pods, but it's 12 small rooms where they're like facing each other, right? And obviously they have audio connected to each other. So you go into this pod, you talk to whoever is in the, like joint pod with it. You just can't see that person. And so you're not supposed to ask any like physical questions about what they look like. That's kind of the whole point of the show. But you get to know them and decide off of their personality. And then the people that you do form bonds with more often, uh, like than not on the show, there's a couple of people that are like kind of stuck between two. Because, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you took 10 to 12 women and you didn't know what they look like and you fell in love with two personalities, it's like there's no losing. Like either one of them is going to be like good choice, but
Hmm.
most often than not, sometimes people get caught between two, and then sometimes people just right away know, like, oh my god, that is my person, and like they know on like day one, like that is the person that I don't know, they're just meant to like find or be with, what have you, and then so essentially, the premise of the show is that uh, you have to propose to each other in the pods, sight unseen. Ask that person, will you marry me? If the person agrees, then, like the next day or something, you guys put on your best outfit, and there's a long hallway, and eventually the doors open, and then finally you're supposed to run into the arms of the person that you are already engaged with, and you're seeing them for the first time. Then all the couples that get engaged, they all go to a honeymoon, so they get to spend one-on-one time. Obviously it's implied, try being intimate with each other, or sometimes they don't have to try, you know what I'm saying, like it's just an instant connection, but they also get to see the other people that were in the pods, so they get to see if you were stuck between two people, you get to see the other person that's out there. And that's also where a lot of people get tripped up, like, oh my god, did I make the wrong choice? Because also that person might already be coupled, they might have said been coupled up with someone else, and so now you have that jealousy factor of like, I almost married that person, and now he's, now they're with my friend, because you've gotten to know your other castmates and stuff. So then they try living in the real world together and all this stuff. But yeah, that's essentially the premise of the show. And the show's been going on for a couple seasons now because it came out like, during like COVID times in like 2020. I was in
Yeah.
Germany actually when me and my friends were watching it together. But from then, so like 5, almost 6 years ago, because I mean, it was probably filmed before, like in 2019 or something. But um, from season one, I mean, I'd have to like Google it to give you like super accurate information, but I think like at least 2 or 3 of the couples are like still married to this day. Like some of them have kids maybe together. So for them, I mean, their answer was yes, like love was blind.
That's really cool. That is genuinely
I'm
really
gonna make
awesome.
you watch it with me one day, I swear. When we both have time, I'm gonna be like, we're going to like literally watch this on FaceTime together because, I love reality TV. I just can't help it. I know it's like not good. That's what I like about it. I like the fact that it's not good. I like the raw like emotion of it and the drama and the stupidness. I think like that's because I don't have drama in my personal life, so it's very exciting for me to see it between other people. But yeah, this show in particular is like I would actually recommend it, like to be watched. Like you might enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I'm more than happy to give it a try. It definitely sounds like something that there's going to be some fascination there. I suppose it depends on how much they dramatize it, obviously, because there is a point where it becomes a little bit cheesy. But
Oh yeah, I mean that's like reality TV in general. But I think like for
yeah,
the most part, like I think it would be bearable for like one of my guy friends to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's obviously
yeah.
other shows that I'd be like, no, like this is just for the girly pops, But no, this show actually has some like good substance to it.
That's fair. I mean, if it is too cheesy, I'm going to say something, but
Yeah, no, because
I'll be
it's
like,
it's
"What?"
interesting to see like, I don't know, it's just like could you go through like all of the emotions and like you see the people like forming like these connections in real time, I guess is what's interesting about it. And then like obviously like let's say if you have those 10 to 12 people, only half of them may be coupled up from the pod. So maybe half went home. They were just like, my person's not in here, or either I like this person, but they chose somebody else. So, they leave empty handed. So you have like, let's just say 5 to 6 couples from each season. And then it's going to go, half of those are actually going to make it to the altar, or either make it to the altar and say yes. Because there's some of them where like you can genuinely tell in their face they're at the altar holding hands with that person, trying to decide if their answer is yes or no, like as the pastor is talking, like as the preacher is preaching, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not sure up until the very last moment, because the whole duration of this thing is like not that long. It's like 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Well,
And
based on
they meet their families. They meet their like the longer you go, like the more real and real it gets. They decide, okay, because they're all gonna be from the same city, because they all film out of the same like major city. Like we have one season's from Atlanta, one season's from Chicago, like one's from Seattle, like whatever. But then they have to ultimately decide like who's gonna move into whose house, like type of thing.
Based on what you've been saying, like I genuinely think that, you know, as long as it's not one of those where the people who couple up, the people who propose, the people who accept the proposal, the people who reject the proposal, etc., as long as that's not dictated to them by the producers, and as
No,
long as
no.
it's something that the people themselves actually choose, and as long as the producers are not sort of trying to roll people up to get a reaction, because I know that sometimes they get very involved, and it
I
tends
mean,
to
I'm
make
sure they
very
do encourage like
artificial.
certain. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think they do encourage like certain conversations, but no, I mean, ultimately, I would say I'm almost certain that it's their choice because, I mean, there's some couples where like you can see. That's why I was asking originally, is height a factor? Because there's some couples that come together and obviously it's awkward, it's weird. You've never met that person, you're engaged, and there's a camera in your face. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit weird, but there's some people, like, you can genuinely tell on their face they're not attracted to that person. And so some of them make the decision to call it off nicely, or either they'll give it a try. They'll say, I'm not, attracted to this person, but I fell in love with them back in the pod, so I'm gonna go on the honeymoon with them and see if things develop from there. So I think that's kind of where I was coming in with like this whole scenario of, people trying to decide at that particular second, like, is love blind? It's hard if you're not attracted to that person, you
I
know?
mean, realistically, as somebody that's been married before, if you're unsure at the altar, just say no. You can,
Yeah.
just give the person your number, keep talking after the show,
Oh,
and
and
eventually you might decide.
some
But
of them do that as well. But the thing is, like, um, I think I don't want to like gender this too much, but I mean the show is kind of gendered, so I'm just gonna keep going with how it goes. So sometimes the guy will say no at the altar, and with just like you said, with I want to keep talking. We don't. It's just going too fast. We don't have to decide right now. But ultimately, I mean, for the girl, they're at the altar. They've picked out their wedding dress. Their parents are in the front row. All their friends and family are here for their wedding day, and they've just been told no in front of everyone that they love. And so it's hard to come back from a no when you're at the altar. I mean, I think you should go to the altar like knowing definitively yes or no. If you feel the answer is no, call it off the night before. Don't even take it to the altar. Don't even get me up there and embarrass me like that in front of everyone. And then it's like sometimes that the people go to the altar and they say no, and you're just like, oh my god, like you just lost the best thing that could have ever happened to you. Like the other person was surprised, like you're just not seeing it at that particular time. But yeah, I think for the women and also for me, like I could never continue if someone said no to the altar with me. I just don't think I could.
yeah,
I mean, it
it
makes
would be a
sense
good idea to say
logically.
something before then.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like, it's just too much feelings involved. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, logically, it makes sense, but it's just like, you can't ruin our wedding, like a day that's supposed to be like the best day of my life. Because
I
you're
mean, to be fair,
unsure.
if there's a camera there for a TV show, it's kind of already gone past that point, in my opinion.
You don't think it could be the best day of my life if I had a camera there for a reality show?
If it's for a reality show, no, I don't think so. I would immediately put it onto this is a plastic wedding, and I'd want a do-over for a real one.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I could totally agree with that. Like if I had to get married on a reality show, I'd be like, this is just like the pre-wedding, if you will. We're gonna have the real wedding later. But I mean, I don't know what the budget is like on the show, but because like they pick out their own wedding dresses, they pick out their colors. Like, I mean, they're pretty elaborate weddings. It's not like shotgun weddings like you think, like in Vegas or something.
Hmm.
Like they're very fancy weddings. They're usually at like big mansion-y type places.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, like I'm saying, like they are having some pretty nice weddings. That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna have another wedding after that, you gotta be like pretty rich.
Yeah, I was going to say if they can exceed my budget to the point where I couldn't even think of doing something that good, then okay, maybe I'll tolerate the
Yeah,
cash.
now you're getting it. Now I'm like smiling to the camera. This is our wedding photos.
Yeah, it's like some other poor schmuck is paying for this one, and I'm
And
like,
also, it's like okay, like I've never been one to want a very elaborate wedding. I've always been like the one that's like I just want to elope and not tell anyone, and then just have the wedding budget, like quote unquote, just like on a honeymoon. I'm way more into travel and I'm not into people and social gatherings. So I've just never like been super fond of the idea of a wedding. But that's what I'm saying. Like someone else is already gonna pay for it. Even if we were gonna like do our own, I'm like, why even do our own at that point? Why not just go somewhere with that money that we would have spent on the wedding? But I mean, that's just me. Everyone has a personal preference, and some people are obviously like they could not get married like without a wedding. It's like an absolute must.
there's the sort of plan B on that side. It's like what would happen if you did really take somebody and took them to Vegas. It's like, you know, how to tell your parents what's just happened. You know, they receive a postcard and there's a photo on the postcard, and it's of you dressed as Elvis in a car, and you know she's next to you in the wedding dress, and it's like, oh, P.S. I got married. This is my wife.
I know exactly what my mom would say. Do you have any idea like what your parents would say? 'Cause I know my mom would this is how my mom is. She wouldn't even call me. She wouldn't FaceTime me. She would just text me, Facebook message me. Are you drunk? I know that's exactly. Anytime I send her like anything like that's like remotely silly, she's just like, "Are you drunk?"
I think my parents would send one back. We are at the solicitor's office. You are being written out of the will.
Are you serious?
I mean, my mum would probably be like, okay, well, we need to meet this person. My dad would just be like, no.
Oh, really? Your
No.
dad would feel more strongly about it.
I think so, because he would be like, you're an idiot. Why are you doing this?
Oh, really? You think they would
Yeah.
not be for it?
No, not if I was, you know, I think they would probably want to at least know the person themselves before, you know, any marriage took place. I definitely think they would want to, you know, not even so much be involved, but they would want to be present at the time, and they'd want to know of you know, the person and who they are, and certainly not, you know, in a convertible dressed as Elvis in Vegas.
I
know.
think the thing is too, like for me and like my mom, like I don't think she would necessarily like it would come down to like knowing the person. I think she just cares more about like me getting treated like properly. Like, does this guy like treat you like a princess? And like, are you happy? That would be like at the forefront of her mind. And then if there was something like that my mom got in the mail, obviously she'd write like, are you drunk? But I don't think my mom would necessarily put it like past me, so to speak, because I am the complete opposite of my mom. Like my mom is totally different from me in looks and personality. I look exactly like my dad. I don't look anything like my mom. My mom is like tall, blonde, brown eyes. My mom kind of looks like she looks in the face like Lorelai from Gilmore Girls, but she has like a Blake Lively type of vibe to her. And so anyway, the point being like if she really wouldn't like it, like an Elvis convertible wedding, like she might think because she hates it so much that it would be something that I liked. Like she always called me like wild child, you know, like she always would think like that actually might have been something that I wanted.
Dear, oh dear.
Like she might be like, yeah, that actually checks out for her.
Mm. Quality.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
anyway, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the podcast. And thank you for subscribing and clicking that bell. Seth, is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, just thanks for listening. It's always nice as well being here on this this podcast. I mean, Vanessa's always a great host to me and a good friend. And one thing that she has encouraged me to do is promote a little bit of myself, a bit more than I have been doing. So I'm going to declare my my YouTube channel. I've got a YouTube channel of my own, Sethscapes. Where I mostly go around sort of, playing various video games. It's usually a Fallout game, to be honest, but, I have branched out into some live streams for other things, Half-Life and Borderlands and things like that. And yeah, just generally have a good time without any real particular inclination towards one thing or another. Just play some games and have fun.
And I will put the link for that in the comments below. And thank you guys so much for listening.
Thanks very much. Goodbye.